Hello and welcome to Weird World Weekly, a production of galacticnetcasts.com. I'm Dave Nelson. With me, as always, is Matt Stein. Hey, Matt.
Hi, Dave.
Are you ready to talk about weird stuff?
I'm pretty excited. I like weird stuff.
The weird, the strange, the unusual, the unexplained, the bizarre. What's some more words? Come on, Matt.
Audacious? Doesn't work at all, but that's the first word that came to mind, so that's what you get.
Bombastic.
Bombastic, Mr. Bombastic, Mr. Fantastic.
You know what we're trying to say. It's Weird World Weekly, and this is the show where we discuss one story in 15 minutes or less and discuss it in depth. Could be something paranormal, could be something mythological, conspiratorial, or anything else that doesn't fit those particular things, but still weird, strange, unusual, unexplained. And before we get into things, got to remind you that we have a whole website. Actually, Weird World Weekly, Matt, is just a small part of a bigger network.
A smidgen, if you will.
Did you know that?
I did know that.
Oh, good.
It would be weird if I didn't know that, since I'm on other podcasts of yours as well.
Speaking of which, you have a brand new podcast that is the most latest addition to the Galactic Netcast Network. Do you want to briefly explain the name and what it's all about?
Yes, it is called the Podcast of Terror. Dave has allowed me to compile some friends, and we talk about horror, which is kind of where my love of entertainment is. So we cover movies, do a lot of movie reviews. We're going to cover news for upcoming movies and developments of movies, things of that nature. I want to cover video games once in a while when I find the testicular fortitude to play a horror video game. And with upcoming Halloween season, I might review a haunted house or two.
That would be awesome. I love that how it doesn't just encompass movies. Like, you've decided to branch out into other horror aspects. I like that.
Halloween it's my favorite time of year. I love fall because of the weather. I like the beer in fall because it's always pumpkin based or some sort of Oktoberfest-ish.
It's more hearty in the fall.
Yeah. So I love the time of year. So my wife and I and some friends usually go to haunted houses. We'll take like a Saturday and go to 3-ish in the area, depending on how far away we go. And,
yeah, there's a bunch in your area too. That part of Wisconsin is chock full of haunted houses.
We went to a bunch in our area last year, so I don't know if we'll stick around here, but we might head down to Milwaukee. I have some friends who work in haunted houses there. I was thinking about going to it's called, God, I can't remember. It's Transworld. It's the Midwest Haunt Convention in St. Louis. So it's like 3 days of haunted house props and makeup and stuff. It's pretty cool. I went a couple years ago.
Wait a second. It's called Transworld?
Yeah.
That could be...
Not Transvestite World.
What?
Not Transvestite World.
I was going to say, it could be misconstrued for something else if it really needed to be.
Very easily, but it's not.
All right, cool. Well, people can find the Podcast of Terror by going to our website, which is gncasts.com. And we encourage you guys all to subscribe to it. Just click on the subscribe. The yellow subscribe button is all over the website. You can't miss it. We made it yellow for a reason. So click on that, and there'll be all the links to not only the Podcast of Terror, but all the other podcasts that Galactic Netcast does. All right. Oh, yeah, it's also on Stitcher and iTunes, so just search for it there as well. Okay. Let's spin the Weird World Weekly wheel. And give us our choices, Matt. What's on the wheel this time around?
This time on the wheel we have family flees $1.3 million home over watcher threats, a field guide to cryptids from Europe and Africa,
okay,
lizard man caught on film, the 5 best and 5 worst demons to get possessed by, and the Berenstein Bears internet conspiracy might rock your childhood.
Wow, that one sounds interesting. Let's spin the wheel, find out where the wheel's going to land on, and that's what the story we're going to talk about this time. So here we go. And just as a reminder, we'll cover the story in 15 minutes or less. So if you have to be someplace in 15 minutes, don't worry, we'll get you there, okay? All right. What's it going to land on? The Berenstein Bears internet conspiracy might rock your childhood. So here we go. Let's start the timer. Let's wind it up. And go time. Okay, so question for you, Matt. Are you familiar with the Berenstein Bears?
Yeah, I never was like a huge fan as a child, but I'm familiar with them. It was that time in life.
As a child, do you remember if it was spelled Berenstein or Berenstein?
I always thought it was Stein because of my last name. I generally got people made can't think of the word.
No.
There's similarities between my last name and the Berenstein Bears. So
Yeah, you know what? It wasn't. It was never spelled with an EIN. It was always spelled with an AIN.
Is that what's supposed to rock my childhood?
Yes. You're supposed to freak out by. You're not freaking out by that?
Not at all. Sorry, buddy.
So there's a collective consciousness who believes that it was always EIN the whole time. I thought it was EIN, and I'm not alone. Many, many people like you thought it was EIN, but it was AIN the whole time. And there's a conspiracy online. Do you want to hear the conspiracy?
Yes, I do, actually.
Okay, so for those who grew up reading the books, they have the word EIN ingrained in their minds. But in fact, the real title, like I said, is AIN, and it's quite a shock to the system. A quick internet search of the book covers and the official PBS website reveals the Berenstein Bears have been there all along, AIN. And the shock of this revelation, it's a revolution too, has led to some believe that in an alternate or parallel universe in which the Berenstein Bears were created and the Berenstein Bears is some massive, crazy internet hoax. So basically, the conspiracy theory is everybody who thinks it was spelled with an EIN is from an alternate universe, and you are transported to this world where it's AIN.
That sounds pretty stupid.
But isn't it weird though that that a whole bunch of people think it's EI? Why do you think that is?
Because most people called it the Berenstein Bears, not the Berenstein Bears. So I think people just heard the name and assumed that it would be EIN versus AIN.
But didn't any of us remember looking at the actual word or the name when we were growing up or when we were younger?
I could not picture the words like the text on a book to save my life. You know what I mean? Like I can picture the drawings of the bears and stuff on a book vaguely, not like a specific book cover, but I can't picture the word. That was a lot of years ago, Dave.
See, I think I remember seeing the word and it was EIN. I think I do. But I could just be imagining that. I could be making that up in my head.
I'm trying to see if I can find some book covers. But when you Google Berenstein Bears is the first thing that shows up, and there's book covers with an AIN.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. They're saying that a search will find the AIN spelling, and that's supposed to prove that that's the way it was spelled all along, going back to all the way to the beginning.
Yeah, but Photoshop.
No, but this is like on PBS archives. This is official sources that it's AIN.
Yeah, I'm not arguing that it is AIN. I could be wrong. I was pretty young when these came out. I just always assumed that it was EIN.
Yeah, so did most people. Now, there's another story that I did not include as the official story that we're talking about, but somewhere else on the internet, there's also a theory that continues with the idea that people thought that who is the South African president who was in prison, and then he became president.
This makes us bad people. He was really big during the when the World Cup was in South Africa.
Yeah, Mandela.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some people that thought that he died in prison.
Oh.
That are shocked to learn that he got out of prison and became president of South Africa. There's some people that think that he died in prison. And that's also kind of feeding into this whole conspiracy that there's an alternate universe, there's a parallel universe where that happened, or the Berenstein Bears were EIN.
I mean, you could argue alternate universe all you want. You know what I mean? For anything that people will see. There's an alternate universe where Tupac Shakur is not dead. He's living on an island with Elvis and Notorious B.I.G.
Speaking of that, I saw the Straight Outta Compton movie last night. It was pretty good.
How was it? Oh, I want to see it so bad.
Yeah, it was very, very good. The only complaint I have is they made everybody seem great. Like there was no personality flaws amongst any of them, hardly. Like Dre is supposed to be known for beating women, and that was not covered at all in that movie. Like everybody was great except for Suge Knight.
Well, he's kind of an ass. So
yeah, there's no sugarcoating that guy. No, it was great. I'd forgotten about some of those songs, and it kind of took me back to that. I mean, I was just out of high school when those guys hit, so I remember their climb to fame pretty. I remember it pretty well. So
that was huge for the time.
Yeah, it was a game changer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's it. What do you guys think of this conspiracy theory? And I apologize for the dog barking in the background. Our dog loves barking, apparently, so sorry about that. We would love to know your thoughts on this. galacticnetcasts@gmail.com. You can call our voicemail number, which is 805-328-3966, or go to the website gncasts.com and click on record a voice message and just leave it there right on the website. Simple as that. And tell us what you think. Do you think there's a parallel universe? Do you think there's an alternate universe where the Berenstein Bears were actually spelled EIN? Or do you remember them spelled EIN or AIN? We'd love to know. galacticnetcasts@gmail.com or 805-328-3966. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. We're available on iTunes and Stitcher. And give us a thumbs up on Stitcher or 5 stars on iTunes. That would help us get more subscribers. And, of course, just your support, period, via our Galactic Collective, which you can also find very easily on our website, gncasts.com. I was supposed to be playing the outro a long time ago, Matt.
Oh my God, I can't even take you seriously right now.
I'm sleeping at the controls here. What the hell?
You can always put it in after the fact. That's how I operate.
Yeah, well, I like to do things live. Live to tape is how I like to do things here on the Galactic Netcast Network. So, everybody, thanks for listening. And as always, Matt likes to say, as we leave each episode, what is it?
Keep it wizard.
All right. We'll talk to you next time. All right. Hang on. Let me stop this. Let me save that. Export. No, not export. I'm going to save it. What program are you using to record your audio? I forgot.
Audition.
Okay. I think we've had the discussion before.
You asked once. That was about it.
All right. Weird world. Hangout say 30.
Shit. Let me check. 37.
Okay, thanks. All right. All right, so that bad boy is saved. No, it's saved. Okay. So close, and so I'm gonna move down. Take that out of the selection. Yeah, that music in that movie was awesome. It makes me want to start listening to gangster rap again.
I like rap once in a while.
Well, there's a cool scene. You know how biofilms of musicians, there's always that scene where and I can't think of, like, I've seen a bunch of films. I've seen films about the Beatles, and I've seen that La Bamba film and that movie about what's his face in the 50s who played the piano.
Ray Charles?
No.
That's way too far back. Who the hell played the piano in the 50s?
Who's white guy? Great Balls of Fire. Jerry Lee Lewis.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was a great document or a great film as well. And there's always a scene in them where they show them first, like, seeing the spark of what they can do. And this one it was really cool because it was Dr. Dre. Because Dr. Dre wanted to be a producer the whole time.
Ah.
So he was in the studio with Eazy-E and I think a couple of the other guys from what would become NWA, and they were trying to produce with another, like, 3 guys that they brought in to do the rapping for them, and they got in some kind of, like, tussle, and they left. They got all pissed off and left. So the only people left that could do the recording was Eazy-E, but he'd never rapped before. So it was basically Dr. Dre kind of working with him. Like, he was terrible at first, but then he finally got it. And there was that moment where it was like, yeah, that's it right there. And that was really cool. I liked that scene a lot.
Was it from the trailer where he says the first line from Boys in the Hood?
Yes. Yeah.
Let's see if I can download this movie yet.
Lawbreaker.
Yeah. Maybe if movies weren't so damn expensive.
You know, we're streaming right now still, right? We're live.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Any questions about the next story? This one, I'm sure you'll have a lot to say because it relates to what you are going through.
Yeah. No, I read through this one yesterday, so.
Okay, cool.
Excited.
All right, you ready to go?
Yep.
Okay, let's start. Soundboard's up there. Recording audio is a go. Mic's down. Let's do this. Hello. Welcome to Weird World Weekly, a production of Galactic Netcasts. I'm Dave Nelson, and my partner in crime is Mr. Matt Stein. Hello, Matt.
Hello, Dave.
My partner in weirdness.
PIW.
My strangeness companion, Matt Stein.
I got nothing. You win.
What's going on, man? What's new? What's new in your world?
Nothing. I'm concerned about the structural integrity of the deck boards on the boat in the intro and outro music.
Yeah. It's a boat that I would not want to ride on myself. If I was to get on it and I would hear those sounds along with that spooky kind of ooh. Well, number one, I'd feel like I was in a Scooby-Doo episode. And number two, I wouldn't want to go out actually into the water on that kind of boat.
I agree. I'm with you 100% on that.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to the podcast where we talk about the weird, the odd, the strange, the unusual, and did I mention paranormal?
You did. I don't know. Did you?
Okay, no. We cover these things in the realm of paranormal, mythological, conspiratorial, or anything else that doesn't fit those 3 pigeonholed categories. As long as it's weird, strange, unusual, unexplained, we talk about it in 15 minutes or less. And why don't you explain to everybody listening how we pick the stories that we do for each episode?
Dave takes about 7 steps back and 2 to the right, much like a field goal in NFL, and he runs up to the wielding wacky wheel of wobbling weirdness and spins it, and whatever it lands on is what we talk about.
I don't think you've ever said wobbly.
Nope. Nope, that's a new one.
Nice addition.
Thank you. Should write all these words down.
I'm surprised that you haven't. I mean, you rattle them off so easily. I would never I'd have a hard time remembering all those words.
You seem to underestimate how lazy of a human being I can be.
Okay, so before we spin the wheel, couple of reminders. You can subscribe to this podcast either on iTunes, Stitcher. Just search for Weird World Weekly. And if you do, please leave us a 5-star rating and a thumbs up on Stitcher. That helps us get more subscribers. Or just go to gncasts.com, our official home. There you will find all the subscription information and proper links, and the other shows that we have on the Galactic Netcast Network, including Matt's new show, Podcast of Terror.
There should be more echoes.
Say again?
There should be more echoes.
I know. I wish I had a little thing on my soundboard that would make an echo, because some soundboards have that ability. Mine does not, for some reason. I'll work on that. Do you want to briefly describe the Podcast of Terror?
It doesn't work when you just stop talking. There needs to be an echo on that word if you're going to say it that way. The Podcast of Terror, we review horror movies, horror video games, horror attractions, horror everything under the sun, because I love horror.
And you're joined by
most of the time it's going to be Corey Scott, who's been on the Sci-Fi Geeks Club. Once in a while I might bring in someone new if Corey's busy or for specific topics. The first episode had a really long-time friend of mine, Grant Hill, white guy, not the basketball player. I know he will be back when Wolf Cop 2 comes out, and we'll probably play the Wolf Cop drinking game before we do that, just to make things a little extra fun.
Nice. Okay, so anything horror related, you'll cover it eventually on Podcast of Horror, and
Fair.
And that's not the only podcast on our website, gncasts.com. Matt mentioned Sci-Fi Geeks Club. You were on that show every once in a while, along with other guests. We cover sci-fi topics. We've also got the Alien Invasion podcast. We've got the Adventure Time board gaming adventure game podcast. What else? What am I missing? And this
Invasion?
What?
Mention Alien Invasion?
Yeah, it's all alien stuff. So find them all at gncasts.com. Say again?
Much like the Pokemon, gotta find them all.
Okay, I'll take your word for that. I don't know Pokemon to save my life. I don't know what that means. So sorry.
Just move on.
Okay, so on the wheel this time we have family flees $1.3 million home over watcher threats. We have a field guide to cryptids from Europe and Africa, the 5 best and 5 worst demons to get possessed by, and finally, Lizard Man caught on film. So do you want to do the honors and spin the wheel and find out which story we're going to talk about this week?
You know I do.
All right, give it a push. Good job. I like your form. Very nice.
Right.
I'll give it a score of 9.5. All right. Oh! Family flees $1.3 million home over watcher threats. Let's start the timer. 15 minutes or less. Wind her up there, Matt. And here we go. And you and your wife are looking for a house right now, so that you can relate to this story, right?
Pretty much everything except the price tag of the house.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think you make that much money to afford a $1.3 million house right now, at least.
I don't know if I'd ever want to buy a $1.3 million house.
That's just stupid.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the deets. A New Jersey couple has sued the people who sold them this house after they claim a series of threatening letters from a stalker called The Watcher forced them to leave the property. They had the watcher on. Well, I think that's a term that's been used a lot in a lot of different areas. But the TV show Highlander, they had the watchers. So I don't think it's the same people because they were watching Immortals.
Oh,
Yeah. So I don't think this family are a family of Immortals.
at least that you know of.
Yeah. Well, they must have adopted because Immortals can't have kids.
Oh, fair enough. See, you know more about Highlander than I do.
According to the lawsuit, the family began receiving creepy messages from the Watcher 3 days after they had bought their new home in Westfield. I think that's Massachusetts.
Yeah.
It claims the previous owners of the house had also received letters from the stalker, but failed to disclose it during the sale in the summer of 2014.
It's pretty typical. I mean, if someone was sending me letters to my house saying that I'm watching you, I probably wouldn't tell the people that are about to buy it from me because I want them to buy it from me so I can get out.
Yeah. It's like a haunting. If your house is haunted, you probably don't want to tell potential buyers about that as well.
No, but you point and laugh as you walk away.
Yes, and go, suckers. The letters read, "Why are you here? I will find you. My grandfather watched the house in the 1920s, and my father watched in the 1960s. It is now my time." And then he went on to say, I think this is the letter still, "Do you need to fill the house with the young blood I requested? Once I know their names, I would call to them and draw them to me. I asked the prior owners to bring me young blood. Have they found what is in the walls yet? In time they will. I am pleased to know your names and the names now of the young blood you have brought to me." The letters also asked, "Will the young bloods play in the basement?" and asked, "Who has the rooms facing the street?" The family found the letters so disturbing they never moved into the property. NJ, NewJersey.com. It's NJ.com reported. So it was New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So they never moved in, but they still got these letters from the Watcher.
I mean, it's not cool to like buy a house and letters start showing up and people are like, yeah, or a person is like, yeah, I'm watching your house. Been doing it for a while now. And to specifically call out your children and stuff, it's a little weird. Not that we have kids, but
yeah, I think I would be fine if they were just threatening me.
Yeah.
I'd be fine to move in because I'd figure, this is just stupid, something stupid. I could, if it gets bad, I'll call the cops. They can deal with it. But to threaten my kids or the young bloods, that draws the line right there. I would definitely not move in.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. That's a little ridiculous. Although I wish there was more information than just this one letter. Like, I kind of hope they make a movie out of it.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Like, it's too bad there's no historical evidence from like back in the 60s or back in the 20s when this person claimed that his father and his grandfather before that was also the Watcher.
Well, maybe now that this is out, they might go to the previous owners and ask them about the letters, and then maybe just go as far back as they can with previous owners that are still alive.
Westfield Township Mayor Andrew Skilbitsky told a public council hearing that an exhaustive investigation had been carried out in the threatening letters. No suspect has been identified and no charges have been filed in the case. I was thinking the same thing. If they make this into a movie, they'd have to exaggerate. They'd have to add things to make it more dramatic. Like I could see it being a movie and the family had moved in and then got the letters, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and the problem with exaggerating is you're creating an end to something that isn't really.
Yeah.
So people who really followed it. So my example is the Black Dahlia murder in the movie that they made, where they solved the murder in the movie, but the murder is still unsolved. So when you have people who are really into the story and the history of it, you basically ruined it for that person. So if you would create a movie and not and find and arrest someone and all that stuff, and it's not the truth, then you're gonna piss people off. Although I feel like this is a much smaller scale historical situation than the Black Dahlia murder.
Yeah, I mean, as far as we know, there's not been any kind of harm done to anyone. Just letters of threatening over the years.
Which that's all you know. I mean, I guess if someone was murdered, you'd probably hear about it in some way or another, be able to link it to that house. But yeah, if someone's just watching the house, then maybe they're there to protect them.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think so either, but it's possible.
You could do a lot though, as far as threatening goes, and not ever get violent and not ever get like physical. And still, if it's along the lines of a scary movie, if you wanted to exaggerate, you could make really good exaggerations of threats that would be too scary and suspenseful. That would make for a great movie.
Oh, absolutely. If you just do the like the psychological aspect of watching someone or stalking someone, you could
Yeah,
think crazy.
yeah. All right. So if anything more comes of this case, we will let you know here on Weird World Weekly. All right. So that's it. Just got to cover a couple of things before we get out of here. Don't forget all of our information, all of our show notes, and past shows are available on our website gncasts.com. You can join the Galactic Collective, which is a community of fellow Galactic Netcast listeners, and just go to our website gncasts.com and click on join the Galactic Collective. And of course, feedback, email galacticnetcasts@gmail.com. Call our voicemail number 805-328-3966 or leave a voice message via our website gncasts.com. All right, Matt, that's going to do it for this edition of Weird World Weekly. We will talk to you guys next time. Until then, what?
Keep it weird, weird, weird.
Word. I'm watching you.
Oh,
All right. I think I started the music too early that time.
not really. It's not. It stopped before we got done talking.
That's true. All right. You ready for one more? Can you handle one more?
I can.
Okay.
Yeah. Packer game's not till noon, so I guess I'm safe.
Still preseason, right?
Yeah, but she's still's got to watch it.
Weird. Recent files 38. All right. So close that. Nope. All right. So let me move this down. I'm looking forward to talking about the Lizard Man.
I watched a couple of the videos, and that's a little ridiculous.
Yeah, it looks fake.
Yeah.
But that can make for an interesting conversation.
Yeah, like why don't they fake Sasquatch if so many people are out there looking for it?
Or why don't they make it better faking Lizard Man?
Better fake suits.
Yeah.
Super elusive lizard man. Now, some people claim they have photographic proof he exists.
Get
Okay,
out of here.
it's a little dramatic, but after two separate occasions over the weekend, the lizard man legend became a big deal in the late 80s after reports of a giant.
That's enough of that.
Yeah. I wonder if it's your sound. I'm still getting that like once in a while I'll talk and I'll hear like a noise in the background, like it's you talking, but it's not you. So I'm wondering if it's your soundboard, like my voice is feeding through your soundboard and it's coming back to me some way.
Weird, but possible.
Yeah. Like how does your soundboard work? Is it all USB or is it like some USB and some like analog, like RCA cables? How does it work?
You lost there?
No, I'm here.
Oh, you look confused.
No, I was wondering what you were doing.
Oh, why?
No, I asked you a question about your soundboard. You never answered.
No, I did. I turned my volume down on you.
Oh,
and
okay.
Didn't realize. It's all USB right into my computer.
Okay. All right.
But there's a lot of knobs that I don't know what they do.
Okay. It's very yeah. Soundboards are confusing.
Yeah.
Okay. Want to get this over with?
I mean, when you put it that way, it sounds bad.
All right. You want to do anything different this time? Do you want to say certain things or not say certain things, or do you want to throw in something that we haven't talked about?
Whatever works. I think it's fine.
Okay.
I'm surprised it took us this long to mention the other podcasts in detail.
Yeah, no, we don't normally do that.
No.
Yeah, I'm trying to force myself to remember to do these things because we can't forget that we're part of a bigger thing that we should mention the other things.
Yeah.
As much as we can. Okay. If you're ready, I'm ready. Let's get this going. I'm starting to record. And now I'm turning my mic off. Hello. Greetings and welcome to another World of Weird, a podcast we called Weird World Weekly, a production of Galactic Netcasts. I'm Dave Nelson, and Matt Stein is here as well. Hey, Matt.
Hey, Dave. Let's take a walk on the weird side.
Yes, I like that. I like that play on that title. Nice.
Thank you.
Anybody talented musician out there, producer, that would be cool if you would put something together for us. That could be our new opening. There's got to be some kind of copyright thing, though. We probably couldn't do that.
Well, if it's like Vanilla Ice and Queen, all you got to do is change one note, and then it's cool.
Yeah. It's not din 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 din. See, I added that din 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 din.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Good old Vanilla Ice.
That famous scene from Behind the Music or whatever it was. Yeah. All right. Hey, welcome everybody to the podcast where we discuss the weird, the odd, the strange, the unusual in the paranormal, mythological, conspiratorial, or anything else that we find unexplained, weird, strange, you name it. And we deliver it to you in 15 minutes or less.
Or your pizza's free.
Or your free podcast is even more free.
Yes.
Hey, speaking of free, there's a free app called Stitcher. Stitcher. Are you familiar with Stitcher?
Yes, I've never used it though. I don't know why, but I've never used it.
It's super cool. It's just a great way to discover and listen to podcasts, and we just happen to have this podcast on Stitcher, as well as all the other Galactic Netcasts shows, because we are part of the Galactic Network, Netcast Network, and you can find Weird World Weekly on Stitcher. So go to your iTunes or go to your Google Play and download Stitcher and search for us on Stitcher and listen to us on Stitcher. Or if you just want to go through iTunes, if you're an Apple person, you can find us there as well. We have all the links that you need to know about subscribing to this podcast on our website, which is gncasts.com. Click on, hang on. I want to get the wording right here, so just bear with me. I'm going to call up our website as we speak, tell you exactly what it says.
Start singing the Jeopardy music.
Yeah, we need something. Mm-hmm. Need some kind of something that kind of fills the gaps a little bit as I do some Google searching here. No. Okay. So very left-hand side, it says to subscribe to our podcasts, click here. And if you were to open any of our podcast episodes, be it Weird World Weekly, the Sci-Fi Geeks Club, the Alien Invasion, Matt's new podcast of terror, all about horror films and stuff like horror video games and things like that. or any of our podcasts, if you click on it, there's also a thing that says to subscribe to our podcast. Click here. So we make it very easy for you to subscribe to us and make sure that you don't miss an episode of any of our shows on the Galactic Netcast Network. Okay. Hey, let's talk about weird stuff, shall we?
Yes.
Do you want to explain to our listeners how it is we determine what story it is that we talk about on each episode?
Yeah. Dave rides a Segway approximately 100 feet back, turns around, gets a nice leaning start, because if you know how to ride a Segway, you got to lean forward. As he gets up to the wickedly wacky, wobbly wheeled, weird... It's a wheel. It's a wheel, and it's weird. He gets up there on his Segway, he takes a nice spin on it. Whatever it lands on, that's the story we talk about.
All right. You painted a picture. I was there in that moment. I was following along in my head. Exactly.
You're the one on your Segway.
I'd love to have a Segway. That'd be fun.
What about a hoverboard?
Sure. I don't have the money for one of those, but I hear that's a real thing. So
Wiz Khalifa got arrested riding one at LAX today.
Ugh.
That is a true story, unfortunately.
Okay, so on the wheel this time, we have a few stories, and they are a field guide to cryptids from Europe and Africa, lizard man caught on film, and the five best and worst demons to be possessed by. Now, you may be asking yourself, okay, on previous episodes, didn't you have more selections on the wheel? So there are blank spots on the wheel.
They're like spinning ends.
Yeah, exactly. Or we use a different size wheel with less spaces.
We do whatever we want because this is our podcast.
Yeah. There may not be a real wheel at all. Who knows? It's just you take the chance. You come along with us on this adventure of time and space, and you believe everything we say, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Let's spin the wheel. All right. So what's it going to land on? Only the wheel will tell us. All hail the wheel. All hail the wheel. Okay. Looks like lizard man caught on film. Yay. I love cryptid stories. So here we go. Let's wind up the clock. 15 minutes or less starting right now. Lizard man. The fabled Bishopville, South Carolina swamp creature known as Lizard Man appears to have surfaced again. Sarah, a Sumter woman, must be Sumter, South Carolina, who says she went to church with a friend Sunday morning. This is a couple weeks ago, actually. Stepped out of the sanctuary to see the lizard man running along the tree line. So she did what anyone else would do, took a picture with her phone. She says they were just a mile or so from Scape or Swamp, the site of a similar spotting of what may also be the lizard man back in May. A man submitted a short video of what he thought was the lizard man Monday morning. He said he took the video in May while coon hunting. That's so south. But kept its existence quiet until he saw the reports of the lizard man from outside the church. In the 20-second video, the photographer ducks behind a tree as a dark figure with what appears to be a long tail walks by some 30 or 40 yards away. The video stops as the figure appears to turn towards the camera. Now, Matt, you saw the video, right?
Yeah, I watched it a few times, actually.
What are your impressions?
It's super fake and stupid looking. It looks like this guy got his buddy together. There may or may not have been a case of beer involved, and he was like, oh, let's go get this lizard costume, and then you're going to walk through the woods, and I'm going to videotape it, and we're going to get on the news. This should be so cool. They probably call each other bro a few times, too.
Well, this is down south, so maybe not.
There are meatheads down south, too, Dave.
Okay. Yeah, I've been down south. You're right. Yeah. The costume looks fake as hell. I mean, they could have gotten a better costume. It looks like something from like Star Trek, the original series. Are you familiar with the Gorn? That the episode where Kirk ends up on some planet and he has to fight this creature, and he has to make like gunpowder out of all these things he finds, and he shoots this creature. Are you familiar?
I believe so. I'm Googling a picture real quick. Yeah, I've seen that before.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. It makes perfect sense.
So they could have done a better job with. They need to up their budget, maybe get a better costume.
I mean, yeah, it wouldn't be the worst thing to do. Is maybe think a little harder, a little more outside the box when you're doing stuff.
Now, I didn't see a picture of the first witness from a couple Sundays ago. Did you see the picture?
I did not see what the person looked like at all.
Okay, because the original article didn't have the video or the picture in it, which I thought was strange. So I had to search out the video on YouTube, and I'm assuming that you found a couple more videos on YouTube, right?
I saw different ones. The latest one I watched was the one that you have in the show notes. But I mean, they're all essentially the same. So I don't know.
Okay, so there's a little history as far as the lizard man goes. So it started back in 1988. First sighting happened in the summer of 1988, known as the Davis sighting for the witness Christopher Davis. It starts with the then 17-year-old Davis stopping on a road bordering the Scape or swamp to change a flat tire at 2 a.m. He heard noises, turned to see a 7-foot beast charging at him, so he ran for the safety of his car. The lizard man jumped on the roof as Davis tried to drive away. There were scratch marks on the roof, and one of the side mirrors had been damaged by the lizard man. And apparently there was another very similar sighting to this as early or as recent as 2011. So that's the history. That's the story of Lizard Man.
I don't know. There's too much stupid about this. I mean, what are they going to have a lizard man hunting TV show next, just like the Sasquatch ones? And
oh, I wouldn't put it past History Channel to do that. No,
not at all. History Channel is not what it used to be.
No, there's not a whole lot of history on the History Channel. Even in Canada, they have a different version of History Channel, and it's pretty much the same thing as in the States. They'll show like in prime time, they'll show something that's sort of history related, but then the rest of the day it's like it's Bigfoot hunters or although there is a really cool show on history called Alone. It just wrapped up. It was like they dropped these guys off on Vancouver Island. They're completely separated from each other. They dropped themselves off on different locations on Vancouver Island with just cameras. It was really interesting. It was really good. I don't normally like reality shows, but this one was really, really good.
Huh. I saw a commercial for it. It looked like it could be interesting, but it looked also too much like Naked and Afraid and Naked and Hungry and Alone and Hungry and Naked, Alone, Hungry, and Afraid.
I've seen that show. It's a lot better. Plus, you learn things. Like, you learn about stuff that you can actually eat to survive.
Oh,
or like how long you can survive without a certain kind of food or go without water. It's interesting. And those guys that they got for the contestants, they know their stuff.
Well, that's at least they're taking a concept and making it into like a real TV show instead of just ridiculousness.
Yeah. Because the whole Naked, Alone, and Afraid, or whatever it's called, is very much like that's a what's the word I'm looking for?
Stupid.
Well, stupid is but it's there. It's the whole. It's never mind. Let's not even talk about it. Let's not even. It's not worth even discussing at this point. The important thing is people need to work on their fake lizard man costumes. I think that's the takeaway from this episode of Weird World Weekly.
I agree.
All right. So if you are, if you're interested, or if you're looking at making either your lizard man or whatever your local folklore creature is, then put some realism into it, and maybe actually people will believe that you are the Lizard Man. That's going to do it for this episode of Weird World Weekly. You can find us by going to gncasts.com. You can watch the video on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/galacticnetcasts. What else, Matt?
Oh, God. There's a phone number.
Yeah. 805-328-3966. Email galacticnetcasts@gmail.com. Subscribe on our website or through iTunes or Stitcher. And that pretty much is it. Oh, follow us on Facebook, Google+, and Twitter. Just join the Galactic Collective for all that. Until next time, Matt, what do people want to do?
Keep it weird, Dave.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. We will talk to you next time.
Bye.
All right. Bye, everybody. Hang on.